Let's start at the beginning. When you first arrived at Riverport University.
What's going on, guys? It's Universal Ox here, and today I'm going to be reviewing Quantum Break. And Quantum Break is a pretty mediocre game at best. I'd give it a little bit higher of a review than a 6.5 or something like that. Yeah, I would say that's a really low score for this game to get. I'm going to say I'd probably go like an 8 right now. 8.5 maybe. That's pushing it. But we'll talk about that a little bit more. But right now, let's talk about the story aspect of the game.
114 Lafayette. Is that correct? That was taken not 5 minutes ago by my associate, Michael.
What do you want?
I want a statement.
Yeah, this is probably the better part of Quantum Break, is the story. It's a really, really, really good story. It's great acting, great voice acting, really good narrative. However, some of the plot is a little loopy. A lot of things don't make sense, and they could have probably polished this up a little bit more. But overall, this is a really big selling point of this game. If you are not a story-driven gamer,
What the hell's going on out there?
I'd probably go ahead and tell you to stay away from this one, because the gameplay mechanics probably aren't going to be enough to please you. Here we're going to look at the upgrades, and once again, you've got like 6 moves, 5 moves maybe. I didn't really count them up and see. There's not a whole lot you can do, and the only time you can upgrade is when you find I can't remember what they're called, but you find some items and you get to use these like skill points, and you upgrade your character, which is just almost pointless because you don't really need any of these upgrades. So I'd say this doesn't even matter. But the combat works. Me and one of my other fellow YouTuber, Bubinator06.0, were talking about this, and he was a little upset, saying that you don't really have a cover-based mechanic in the game. You don't. However, you do use cover, and then you shoot around to the other area of cover, which it works. To me, it worked. For him, not so much. The game looks really good. As you can see, it's really pretty game. There's a lot going on. But I'd say they've gotten a lot better at cleaning up the HUD, because it's a lot cleaner now than it typically is, and pretty much Remedy's games. But yeah, the gameplay in the game is a little fun. But like I'm saying, if you guys are wanting a lot for as far as gameplay, this is not really that game. Here's another thing that I can't stand in Remedy's games, is these jump puzzles. They put them in here, and the jump mechanic is always terrible. They should just avoid this at all costs and find other ways for you to play the game, because they never work. You always have to revisit something 6 or 7 times just because you miss your jump, because it's not Tomb Raider. I don't want to jump in the game. I want to play this story-driven game and let that be it. Leave the jumping out of it. Please, God. Next Alan Wake, Quantum Break, whatever you're working on, Remedy, leave the jumping out of the game, because... Or play Tomb Raider or something. I don't know. Play something other. Just leave the jumping out of the games, please. The time-based mechanics work, though. When you slow down time to get past an obstacle, it's pretty cool. Here's more of the combat. There's some cool animations. The environments, time shifting and all this. It's, like I said before, it's really a great looking game. It's unfortunate this game wasn't a launch game for the Xbox One. It would have been a way better game if this game would have came out a couple years ago. It just almost feels... This game could never be a great game just because they miss so many things. the gameplay gets repetitive so fast that a lot of times it's just, I'm not gonna say boring, because it doesn't, to me it never really got boring, but it's just uneventful. You pretty much rinse, wash, and repeat. You pretty much do the same basic moves over and over and over again. And it's just, like I said, if the story wasn't so good in the game and it wasn't telling this great story, that would probably be the biggest problem, because the gameplay is just not there. It just doesn't live up to the expectations of, really, technically, even Max Payne, because if you remember Max Payne, it was a bullet time. They could have simply put a bullet time in this game. It would have fit in here perfectly, but they chose not to do that, and I don't understand why, because it would have been really easy for them to do. Anyway, guys, let's wrap this thing up. The cons of the game are the gameplay mechanics just aren't the greatest in the world compared to some of the other games out there, especially shooter-esque games. There's no exploring, and when you do, it's find like a little item, which is pointless, like I said earlier. Lack of bosses, which is another Remedy thing. There needs to be no more jump puzzles in the game. And let's move on to the pros. The pros are, the game tells a pretty good story. It's not the best story in the world, but the acting and the voice acting are top notch. They really do a great job on that end. It's really, really impressive, the acting and the voice acting in this game. The visuals are great. Overall, guys, I would recommend this game if you're a story-driven gamer, but if not, you might just want to pass this one up. It's probably not going to be for you because the gameplay mechanics just don't deliver. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching the video, and here's my official score of the game.
The treatment will make me weak.